and gentlemen, I'm back. V is the mole is back. And of course, hints and theories videos are back. Welcome to this channel here, welcome to this new video. If you're new here, hi, my name is Julia and I collect hints and theories that will hopefully help you figure out who the mole is. How do we do that? Each week I will upload a video in which I tell you about the most interesting, most suspicious things that happened in the episode or in the universe of V is the Mole. And by doing that we will together hopefully figure out who the mole is. So we will discuss about all of those things and then in the end hopefully make the right decision and choose the right mole. If you do not want to miss anything of that, then please subscribe to this channel here. You can also follow me on Instagram, where I always give an update if there's a new video online. I'm back a few days later because I was on a really lovely vacation, but a lot of things have happened until here, so let's quickly get into it and give you a quick update. This season we of course also got a new mole book here with interesting facts about the candidates, with some interesting things Rick tells us in this book about something very interesting, exciting happening in the season. Spoiler, if you have watched episode 1 then of course you will know what he's talking about. Then there's also an interview with the new director we have for this season. So I think we can expect some changes in how the season works. If you had the chance to watch the streaming edition in summer last year, then you probably already have seen some changes. There were, well, things differently in that season. Actually, if we're honest, there was a big difference because it were non-famous people participating, but anyways. But I of course also know that there was no way to watch this with English subtitles, so I do not assume that every one of you could watch it. Anyway, the mole book here again. We also have the V is the Mole app again, in which we can like play a little game by putting in points on who we suspect as mole, or if you want to make sure to not lose your points immediately, then you can also of course put in points on the person you will think will make it to the next, well, episode, next round. I also set up a pool there. That's, so to say, the way we can more or less play together. It's not really that we can play together, but we can see how many points the other people still have. So if you want to join that pool, it's called International Fans, but I will also put the link to that one in the description box below. So much about the things happening in the V is the Mole universe besides the actual season. I've already said that it is very likely that things will be a bit different this time, and yeah, we actually started with something new, a kickoff episode, so to say. Now the kickoff aired 1 week before the first episode got broadcasted. If you have not watched the kickoff yet, then I highly recommend to do that because it's quite interesting. What's so interesting about it is that they filmed that after they had produced the season, so for us it's the start of this whole adventure, but for the candidates it's actually right after the adventure, or several months after the adventure. So it's quite interesting to see the dynamics there and the fact that they know so much already and we don't know anything actually. And also it's a mix of situations in which they already was a mole chosen, like when they're sitting there and they had, well, produced the whole season, then of course one of them was the mole, but we also get to see little snippets, little videos of how they were packing their bags for this whole adventure. And back then all of them thought there was one mole, but now that we have watched episode 1 we know that at this point nobody was the mole. There hadn't been a mole chosen at this point and everybody just thought there was one. Yeah, so that's a little bit confusing maybe, but quite interesting though. What I also think is that it could be interesting to get back to that kickoff episode throughout the season. Like imagine if they had hidden hints in that kickoff episode leading us to the mole, and then in the last episode when we know who it is and when they show us all of the hints they had, they say like, yeah, you could have known it from the kickoff on, because we hit this and that person said this and that would be quite cool. So maybe it's worth watching the kickoff again at some later point this season. Now I know, no, you all want to jump to episode number 1, and that's what we're doing right now. Episode number 1 started without a mole, which we did not know at this point, and that's why it started actually different than what I had expected. I thought we would start with something really exciting and with a lot of action, but no, it actually wasn't like that, but it did make sense as we got to know that they had to choose a mole. Let's still have a look at what they actually did there. So one thing that was interesting was the way they talked about who probably had the chance to get a joker. All of them in the end got told that they would have a chance to get a joker, but they had to name 5 people to Rick. And some people were, well, honest about it and said, yeah, I got to hear that I would have a chance. But there were also 5 people who kept lying and said, no, I've never heard that, until the end of this discussion round. By doing that, those 5 showed us that they are pretty good at lying. And they were Sophie, Rose, Stein, Gabriel and Maaike. Now, how did they actually choose the mole? It seems like it is a mixture of 3 things. The first thing is the question they had to fill in, so the only test question we got in the episode, who is the mole. Then that they had to put those characteristic boards to the pictures of the candidates. And last but not least, during the so-called molactions, which are some sort of interviews you do before the whole production starts. So they invite all of the candidates to these interviews and say like, okay, could you imagine to be the mole, and why would you be good at a mole? So it's basically a mole interview. You apply for being a mole, and back then they had to name characteristics that would be good for a mole to have. I'm really curious if they will let us know in the end if there's any more to it in how they chose the mole, because this is something we do not know a lot about. I mean, they sure have their way to usually do that, and I also get why they usually do not want us to know that, so it's quite interesting that they did it that way this time. And one more thing about that, when they were in this sort of elimination situation, like sitting there together as a group and waiting for what's to come because they only had to fill in 1 question, Rick asks all of them, would you like to be the mole? And almost everyone says yes, except for 1 person. Some said no. And the question for us is now, does that really mean no? Like, can't he be the mole anymore? Because actually, usually it really is like that. Like, you go to the molestation, to this sort of interview, and they ask you, do you want to be the mole? And you say no, and then it's okay, that's your free decision, your free will. If you do not want to play that role, then you do not have to play that role. Because it's also very likely that a person who does not want to be it maybe isn't as good at it as somebody else. The only thing is that in this situation, everybody else heard it, and we also got to see it. And I'm pretty glad that in the show The Mole Talk, which is a talk show with old candidates and old moles, in which they also analyzed the episode, old mole and old candidate Jeroen Kijkende Vechten was there, and he also said usually a no is a no. If you say no, then you're not going to be the mole. But then it is a thing between you and the production team. Like, you know it, the production knows it. Everything's alright. But here, everybody else knows it now as well. So that leaves us, as the viewers, with the question, does it really mean no? Do we really can cross off some of our lists? Or is he still, well, a suspect? And maybe did he say yes during the molestations, like, yes, I want to be the mole, and only then in front of all the others said no to appear less suspicious? Well, Of course, as always in the Mall, there's a way to turn things around and you can interpret it in several ways. So in the end, it does not really leave us with a clear answer, but please let me know in the comments below what you think about it. Is Sam still a possible mole or not? And with that, we jump to task number 2. This task was called Feestje voor de Mol, which means party for the mole. And if we have a look at the official WIDM website, then there's something I think is quite a nice hint actually. So you can go to the website and get a look at all the episodes. So you click on episode number 1, next week there will be episode number 2 and so on. So we click on episode number 1 and if we scroll down a little bit then we get to see both tasks there. You can click on them as well if you like. And then they basically get you to that part of the show, to that task. Now, they always put the name of the task and the photo there. And the interesting thing here is that they did not choose a photo of the boat where the party was supposed to happen, or a photo of the whole group standing there, the boys still with the ice cubes in their t-shirt, which is quite funny I think, that they just let them stand there while Rick was talking. Anyway, they chose a photo showing Maaike holding balloons. And why is that so interesting? Because this task is called Party for the Mole. And then you put a photo there showing only one person. Like, is it her party? Is it Maaike's party? Is Maaike the mole? Or is it just a way to, well, mislead us? Anyway, I think it's quite a nice hint leading to Maaike as the mole. Now let's have a look what those groups did in that task. And let's start with the group Sophie and Bridget. Those two were supposed to get some music for the party, and what we got to see here was a typical mall action wasting time, because their task was to do a Dutch song, was to perform a Dutch song, and at some point the band starts playing Baby Shark and Bridget thinks like, that's the way we can get the attention of some people here, that's the best song. And Sophie even says several times, no, Baby Shark is not a Dutch song, but Bridget always is like, oh come on, it's working like that, it's going to be fine, but no, it wasn't. And then they start singing in Dutch, but still the task was to perform the Dutch song, which also means they had to play the instruments. All in all, in the end, it takes a lot of time, it wastes a lot of time, which means less time for their second task, which makes it unlikely that the second task will actually be, well, completed. And then again, super suspicious, wasting so much time. So a mall action from Bridget, I would say. Next group we have is Teun and Rose. They had to make sure that there are some snacks at the party and had to eat a spider for getting the snacks. Rose does that and, well, respect for that. And they get those plates, get them to the boat, and then Rose says something which is, I'm still not sure about it actually. So they put down the plates on the table and Teun wants to go to the next task because they still have work to do, and then she says to him, oh, do we want another snack? And makes like this move in the direction of those insects on the plate. And on the one hand I think she's just teasing him a little bit, like he obviously didn't want to eat anything of that and obviously struggled a bit with that, so maybe she just wanted to tease him a bit with let's have another snack. But then again, this would have been a perfect mall action because the task was to get the things you earn, so to say, in a perfect condition to that boat. So if there's one insect missing, then those plates wouldn't be counted correctly anymore. That would mean no money for the pot. So eating something off of that is actually a pretty easy but good mall action. And we also, by the way, did not get to see what she was doing on the staircase. So she walked down very slowly, so maybe some of the insects, well, fell off of the plate or so. That's also a possibility there. But yeah, maybe it's teasing, maybe it's a mall action. Then we have Maaike and Nora with the candles. Yeah, of course, one of those candles, well, wasn't lighting up. I have to say that can happen. Maybe it was, but then yeah, some wind was there, it went out. It could be a mole action, could also be not a mole action. What I think is more interesting here is that those candles were placed in the shape of an arrow pointing at something, something we did not get to see. And I really would have liked to know what that arrow was pointing at. Maybe we'll get to know that at a later point. I'm really curious about that. Anyways, they got the birthday cakes and had to bring them to the boat, and yeah, well, what should I say? Those were two perfect birthday cakes, but they did not arrive perfectly on the boat. So yeah, we obviously got to see that there was something wrong with that birthday cake. And let's be honest, if you let a cake fall down, or I don't know, if something, well, in the tuk-tuks, I get it, it's not easy to transport a birthday cake there, especially not two big birthday cakes, but still, then something on the edge would, well, be missing or wouldn't look perfect anymore. But this, it was right in the middle of the top, and it really looked like someone had stuck their fingers into and, well, got a piece out of it and then put it back in. So it really is weird, which makes both of them suspicious. And then also Maaike tries to kind of fix it, and then she licks some of that glazing off of her fingers, which also means that she ate some of the cake by doing that, and the cakes aren't perfect anymore. Yeah, surely a mole action, and surely no money for the birthday cakes. Then we're left with two boy groups, so to say. The first one was Stein and Sam. They had to cut 2 kilograms of that fruit. They wasted a lot of time by doing that. It did not work out in the end, so really they should have stopped doing that way earlier. I get it wasn't easy, but still, you were wasting so much time which you actually needed for the second task. So yeah, as I said it, wasting time is a typical mole action, something a mole likes to do, and surely a really good mole action if you have the chance to do it as mole. And last but not least, Ray and Gabriel. I have to say I did not really see anything suspicious there, so I really had the feeling that especially Ray was trying to solve those tasks perfectly. But if you have seen anything suspicious, then please feel free and share your thoughts in the comments below. Now that were all important hints and theories to episode number 1 so far. Did I miss anything? Did you see anything else that was suspicious? Then please share all your hints, theories and thoughts in the comments below with us so that we can discuss together. I'm also really curious to get to know what you think about the way they chose the mole this time. Also, please subscribe to this channel here, you're really supporting me with that and it does not cost you anything. You can also follow me on Instagram if you like. And last but not least, also tell me in the comments below how excited you are for this new season of Wie is the Mole. I hope to see you all back next week for episode number 2. Until then, have a great week. Bye!